Hello, everyone, and welcome. What do Hawkeye Pierce, Sheldon Cooper, President Josiah Bartlett, and Clark Kent have in common? We will discuss next on Screen Time with Doug and Kyle. Welcome, everybody, to Screen Time with Doug and Kyle. I'm Doug. Kyle is here. Kyle, how are you tonight?
Hi, I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Really excited about this episode. Glad to be live. We're live. We are live on YouTube. Glad to be live tonight. Anybody want to comment? Please, please, please throw us your comments. But wanted to. This episode is a very interesting one. Kyle and I were kind of going back and forth on this one. So I want to ask everybody a question. Have you ever found a TV show? We're going to talk TV tonight. Have you ever found a TV show that you watched maybe a long time ago? Maybe it wasn't a long time ago. Maybe it was something recent, and you watched the whole thing, or you watched bits and parts of it, maybe most of it, and then you decide to go back to it. And the reason you go back is because there's a ton of emotion that goes along. You have an episode and you're laughing, and you have an episode and you're crying, you're bawling your eyes out. You have, different kinds of like things going on. And you still have that emotion, but you watch the whole series again, and you start the series again, and all of a sudden you have that same emotion. It's like, wow, this is a great show. Well, that's what we're going to be talking tonight on Screen Time is shows that Kyle and I we might love, we might like, we might hate. But but when we watch it over and over and over again, we still have that same feeling every time we watch. So I want to start with you, Kyle. What is your what's one show that you can think of? I know we have a few here. What's one
Oh yeah.
show that you can think of that you just have watched it, you watch it again, and all of a sudden the emotion comes right running right back?
So for me, my I think my first series that I really got into when I was younger, and because I honestly for a while wasn't really a big TV person, which is I know you're thinking like, wait, what? Like I'd watch Nickelodeon cartoons and stuff like that
All
growing up.
right.
But, like, I didn't really watch a lot of TV series, at least until I saw this one, and this kind of, I think, is the perfect place to start for me because, um, this really kicked off my whole interest in series in general. And I pretty much have, I have to give it out for, Smallville. So Smallville, is just this wonderful, oh, hold on. Sorry. I pressed the wrong button there. My bad. I
That's
meant to
okay.
press
That's kind of cool.
this other button. There we go. Okay, perfect. So, uh, yeah, no, like, it's just the show about basically, yeah, as you're seeing, it's basically how Superman grows up to become Superman. But you don't really
Wow.
see him as Superman in the show. Essentially, it's just him as Clark, as young Clark, going through high school, learning how to be a superhero. You even see him graduate from high school, and kind of seeing what his adult life was like, and it was just a very unique show at the time because right now we're kind of in a bit of a superhero boom landscape full of different kinds of shows. You have like Marvel has their shows on Disney Plus. They had their Netflix shows too, like Daredevil, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and then DC even has the Arrowverse with the Flash and Arrow and all kinds of shows like that. So we're in a big just sea of superhero shows. But when this show came out, there really weren't any other superhero shows. Like, I think all we had at that point before this came out was maybe like Lou Ferrigno Hulk. I think they did like a Superboy series, even Lois and Clark. So actually, most of the shows that actually came out before this was Superman. But this show was so inventive and unique, and it kind of introduced its own sort of universe. And it inspired a lot of those other shows, to kind of just like keep going. And it was just really great. I It was just it. I mean, like, just from the main star, Tom Welling, he was such a great young Clark, and I thought he really embodied what his, that time of Superman's life. It was just such a great, like, and it went on for 10 seasons, and yeah, it had its kind of like dips where maybe the quality wasn't quite as good, as other seasons or episodes here and there.
Right.
But for the most part, I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate what they were doing for, superhero storytelling, and they just really, I thought, did a great job making a very sincere, kind of like very relatable version of Clark Kent. And
Excuse
even
me.
as the show went on, the effects even actually got better. You see kind of like some of the earlier seasons, and the effects were a little shoddy at times. But it's 2001. They hadn't done a lot of superhero series to that scale,
Working
but
it out, man. Working it out.
yeah, it's you can forgive the show. But like, even the effects actually kind of got better over time, which is kind of
Sure.
neat. Like, they were able to kind of pull certain things, like, they as they kind of like, where they start off very grounded, but then, like, as the series goes on, it kind of opens up to the more of the wider DC universe, and it kind of sets up its own sort of like whole kind of world there, and I really liked it for that. And um yeah, it was just really cool. Have you seen Smallville before, right, Doug?
I saw bits and parts of it, and
Mhm.
now that I know really kind of what it is and the way you describe it, I really want to see it now. I want to see the whole thing now. I really want to see the whole thing. It's such a great concept because all the Superman movies, all the everything that you see Superman that's on TV or movies or whatever,
Mhm.
you never see him small. Uh,
Yeah.
Sorry, Smallville. I don't mean to,
Yep.
like, do a pun there, but you never see him how he grows up. How did he grow up? And it's kind of interesting because it kind of, as you were describing it, the first thing I thought about was Star Trek and the movie where you see where Spock dies, they jettison his body to a planet, and what they do is that they have this Genesis device, and they put the Genesis device on the planet, and then you see Spock almost, I mean, like, literally very quickly, but you
Mhm.
see him kind of not grow up, but you see him grow up because they find him and he's a little kid, and then he goes through Ponfar, and then as a teenager, and I mean, you
Oh, that's
see him go
cool.
through all these steps and stages,
I actually never
and
saw
I
that.
think that's such a great concept. But on the Superman side, you never see that in any of his movies. So I think that's a really fantastic concept of how did he how how did Superman get here?
Mhm.
Um, how did he grow up? Did he have parents? Did he have I mean, all this stuff. I mean, how did he do in school? I mean, was he bullied? Can you imagine? I
Yeah,
mean,
they
again,
pretty much go through all of
I think I
that.
saw just a couple of them, and I'm sorry, I really don't remember, and I apologize. I don't remember, but I am gonna watch it because I think, the way you described it and the way it is, it sounds like it's just a really great concept,
Mhm.
for people to think about how did Superman grow up?
Yeah, it kind of redefined, like, superhero origin stories in
Yeah,
general. Like,
yeah.
it was just, it was cool, and I thought it had one of the best, like, Clark Kent's. I had one of the best. I loved Erica Durance as Lois Lane. Kristen Crook um, as Lana Lang, and of course, oh my God, Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor. A lot of people still say to this day that he might be the best live action version of Lex, like, you'll ever see on screen. Like, he is
Wow.
just he's powerful. And what's funny is that he actually used to be more. He's kind of more generally like a comedic actor. So he's been in kind of like more just comedy in general, like shows and movies. But this this show really, I feel like, expanded his chops, and it really just like set up as like this very, you know, why Lex Luthor is evil now. Like you know he's gonna be evil, but you know why. Like it's so cool, so cool.
No, I just think it's a great concept. I mean, just a fantastic concept.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just I mean, it's it's just it's another part of Superman that we've never seen before. So it's
Mhm.
kind of like, and I think Marvel's doing that a little bit. Some
Yeah.
backstories and some back things and backs, and those are super cool because then you get to have an idea of kind of where this all comes from.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a great concept.
Yeah, it's really cool. And really quick before you go to your pick, Doug, I was gonna
Sure.
just throw out there too, just because I feel like this show is like the perfect kind of continuation, even though it's a different version of the character and the world and everything. I really highly recommend people to watch Superman Lois. It is such a
Yeah.
great, just like, they haven't made a Superman movie in 10 years, but this show more than makes up for all of that. It is just fantastic. Like, Tyler Hoechlin's a great Superman. Bitsy Tulloch is a great Lois Lane. Oh my god, like, just the whole, and you get to see them as parents this time, so it's essentially them dealing with like family life and very relatable issues. And especially in season 3, as I'm watching the third season, my god, it's just like, wow. It's so good. Like, they combine some really great fight scenes but with some really emotional human drama, just like Smallville did, really. So I just love it for that. I love it for existing. Check both those series out. Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just they're both phenomenal, especially if you want if you're into that backstory thing.
Mhm.
It's always a good thing to have that. I just think the concept itself is fantastic. Speaking of great concepts, um, at least in this era, um, the concept of the TV show MASH was just kind of just so interesting. From 1972 to 1983, the staff of an army hospital in the Korean War find that laughter is the best way to deal with their situation. And just unbelievable. This is actually the movie. This is the movie. This is okay. This is
Oh,
the movie.
geez.
Not Yeah, this is the movie, not the TV show, but that's okay. They started out. They started out with a movie. Um, and the movie was excellent. Was very good. It was funny at times, and you were crying at other times. But the TV show itself, as I mean, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on in this. Lots of stuff going on. And there's laughter, there's crying, there's lots of craziness. The TV show stars Alan Alda, Gary Berghoff, Wayne Rogers, Loretta Swit, Jamie Farr, Harry Morgan, Mike Farrell, Larry Linville, and McLean Stevenson at the time. And the concept is so fantastic because in one minute you're laughing because Hawkeye says something or does something, and then the next minute you're crying because one of the wounded has passed away, or there's lots of kind of serious subjects that kind of go along with this. So this is, and I will tell you the movie, the concept of the movie, which is right here, and the concept of the actual TV show was actually. Oh, by the way, the only person that was in the TV show and in the movie was Gary Berghoff, who played Radar. The reason called Radar is because he was able to hear the helicopters coming. He was able to kind of read people's minds. That's Sally Kellerman, who played the Loretta Swit part um, of the head nurse, Margaret Houlihan. And just very again, the movie's a little different than the TV show. Again, we got Donald Sutherland, Elliot Gould, um, Tom Skerritt. You guys can read this. Sally
Mhm.
Kellerman is right there. Robert Duvall. It's a pretty big cast for this particular movie. But again, the TV show is kind of related to the movie in a way where you're laughing, you're crying, you're
Attention, all
attention. Here we go. This
Mhm.
is this is it right here. Here we go. There's Alan Alda. There's radar waiting for the helicopters. Yeah, see, we we have some footage here now. That's great. Thanks, Kyle. And just the concept of bringing people back to life. As you can tell, there's lots of tomfoolery, which is craziness that happens in the TV show. There's Loretta Swit. There's Wayne Rogers, and that's they have some sad episodes. Um, and they have some very serious episodes, and they deal with a lot of serious stuff, and then they have some very funny episodes, and this is how you deal with war. This was, if you watch it and you Jamie Farr dresses in in,
Yeah.
in dresses because he's trying to get out of the war. So the concept, if you watch it and you watch every episode, the concept of the TV show is anti-war. The producers wanted to make sure that it was an anti-war thing, and
Mhm.
that's what the concept was. Is war is hell, war is stakes, which makes sense. It is. I'm not for war, believe me. I'm just telling you what the concept wrapped around the TV show and the movie, but more the TV show was the fact that the concept is that war is terrible and people die, and this is how we have to deal with this because they see death every day. So and this is how that they have to kind of deal. Um, I guess it's relatable because my father was a physician. I worked in a hospital for 10 years, so I saw lots of things. So
Hmm.
it's very relatable to me. It might not be the greatest show for everybody. Um, but the concept of it at that period of time was phenomenal. I will tell you, as far as I know, MASH went 11 seasons, and the last show, Goodbye, Farewell, So Long, I think it was So Long, but it's Goodbye, Farewell, was the most watched episode of its era in 1983.
Hmm.
The most watched like around the world.
Okay.
And it was, I think it still is. There have been a couple of others. I think Friends was one that was that was the most watched last episode. Maybe Big Bang Theory. I'm not really sure. There's a few others that I think are kind of out there that may have been pretty big, but MASH was the biggest because of its popularity. But if you ever get a chance to see it, it is on like Me TV. If you have Me TV in the Boston area, that's a Boston channel. I know that they do have the DVDs. DVDs are available, wherever you get your DVDs. And I know that it is, I believe, on Hulu. It is on Hulu, so you can actually watch it on Hulu too. So
That's good.
it's
Yeah, I
just
think it's on there, yeah.
yeah, it's on Hulu because I'm rewatching it for the 40th time. So that's how I know it's on there. But it's just a great concept, and every time I watch specific episodes, I laugh, I cry. Um, I it's that kind of thing after you keep watching it over and over again.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really good. Again, it's a little bit of an older program, but um, mine span my programs that I took, and I have three of them. Kyle's got three. My program span from 1972 to 2019, and it's only three programs. So we're not talking about like
But
I don't know how many programs were on the air from 1972 to 2019. I'm sure a lot. We
yeah.
only picked three. I only picked three from those eras, but I kind of cover from the early 70s all the way up to about 3 or 4 years ago. At least I tried to.
It's awesome.
So, Kyle, what is your next one? And I think before we do that, we're going to mention our sponsors. Yeah, hey, there we go. So our sponsors for this episode and for all the episodes, and we're glad to have them back for this year, 2023, is Simon Organizing and Wes Woodson. Thank you guys for sponsoring our show, and we will have um, links in the description for you. And thank you guys again for sponsoring us. We completely, we appreciate, everything you guys do and trying to get the show out there for us also, which is great. And so we'll go back. We'll have that scrolling on the bottom, which is really great for a
Yeah.
while, so you can see it. So, Kyle, what's your next show?
My next show, I was gonna mention this. I know this is so hard. We're gonna have to do like a whole nother episode, I think, of this because it was hard to narrow it down to just like a few. But I think I'll do this one. I'm kind of gonna stick to like the 2000s. I don't know. A lot of those shows in that era kind of really stuck with me. And the one I really liked from there was this show called Invasion. So
Ooh,
it's a show that not a lot of people heard about. This is kind of the one sort of deep cut show that I'm going to mention. So basically, this whole storm, takes out like a whole chunk of like this area in Florida, and it's a very kind of family oriented show, and it kind of like affects this one family who they lose their mom is like they don't know where she went, and she returns after being gone for like a day or two, I think, and they notice that something is very off about her. And then the sheriff comes in, played by William Fitchner, and he's trying to he's trying to like calm everyone down, and he's trying to make sure everything's okay. But then you realize that something's off about the sheriff too, and you kind of know that from the very beginning. And that's all I'm going to say. It's one of those shows that it slowly reveals like what's going on, and I'm sure even from the title you can kind of like figure out what's going on a little bit. um it's definitely kind of like it's I like it because it's a kind of a fun sort of like suspenseful, um little bit of a kind of a sci-fi show, but it has a very kind of human sort of family core to it, which is what I really really like. And it's it's only about, I think it's about like maybe 22 episodes. It's got the classic American kind of 20 plus episodes that they usually did for a lot of those shows. And but it only, they were supposed to actually make like a few seasons of it. I think they were supposed to make like 4 or 5 seasons, but unfortunately ended up being canceled. So
oh,
after just that, the end of that one. So it's really unfortunate. Like it had such a great, like I loved every episode. I thought it was just a great build up to kind of what they were trying to do. And the drama was fantastic, and just I love the actors. I love the cast. Like a lot of the actors, you kind of they're at that point in their life they were sort of more up and coming, but you recognize them more nowadays. Like Evan Peters, the guy who played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, he was actually in this show. He was a teenager. So and of course William Fitchner, like I'm sure people have known him from like Heat, the movie like Heat. And this is one of his kind of like starring roles that he did in a show. So it's got a lot of kind of more character actors. It even has actually the guy, I think his name is Tyler Labine. I think he's from Chuck and Dale versus Evil, which is kind of that was another kind of cult classic movie that came out
yes.
like 2010. Yeah.
Speaking of that, watch our last episode, Cult Classics.
Yep.
Watch that episode.
We deep dive into it.
Oh yeah, we definitely dove deep, which is really good. So watch that episode too. That's also on our site. So please watch that. But go ahead.
Yeah, that would have been actually another good movie to we'll have to do it when we do the part 2 or whenever we decide to do that episode. We'll have to mention Tucker and Dale versus Evil. That was such a great movie.
Yeah. Excuse me. We'll have to write that down.
Yeah, but no, it's a really I really recommend watching Invasion. I think you can actually watch it on one of the Roku channels. I think it's either on Pluto or Roku, one of those channels. If you can try to find it, they do have the HD version. Only downside is they have commercials. So if you want the non-commercial, you got to find the DVD. No Blu-ray, just DVD because it came
Right.
out when Blu-ray wasn't even really a thing, or you can try to stream it on one of those channels with commercials. But either way, no matter how you watch it, just check it out. It's a really, really great series. The last episode will leave you disappointed because there is a bit of a cliffhanger. I will warn you, which left me disappointed because, like, it was one of those moments you want to see what happens, but there's enough of the show where they kind of they you know what's going on, and you're still satisfied by the end of the series. It's just, there's a couple things, just a couple of those loose ends that they need to get tied up. So, yeah, it's a really great series. So, yeah, what do you have for us next, Doug?
So what I have next is um what I have next. Oh, wow. So to piggyback on my last thought, right, for the last MASH episode, the last MASH episode, which was 40 years ago, more than 100 million people tuned in.
Wow. Jeez.
to say to say goodbye, farewell, and amen. That is actually the name of the last episode. It's called Goodbye, Farewell, and Amen. But 100 million plus people um watched that last episode, so it was a little bit popular there.
Just a little bit. Just
Just
a little
just a little, just a little. So my next one is actually from the producers of ER. And if you ever watched ER is a show about an emergency room. Obviously, it's ER, but it's a pretty popular show. Um, it's Emmy Award winning. Da, da, da. It's
bit.
from 1999 to 2006, and it's called The West Wing. And The West Wing, oh yes, of course. The West Wing, inside the lives of staffers in the West Wing of the White House. Sex, corruption, and power. This was Martin Sheen, Rob Lowe, Allison Janney, John Spencer, Bradley Whitford, Richard Schiff, Janelle Maloney, and Dooley Hill. This is if you love politics in the 90s, this is a great show to watch. It's really it's kind of fantastic in the way where it really shows you whether you're doesn't matter what your political views are. This is about what goes on in the West Wing of the White House. Period.
That's
That's
cool.
it. It is on the Democratic side, but it has nothing to do with politics. It has lots to do with politics, but you don't have to watch it and be political to watch it. It's a show. But it's what I like about it is that it really teaches you about like how a bill comes to but there's lots of stuff going on. There's funny parts, there's sad parts, there's crazy parts. Um it's basically a show about politics, but it's not political, I guess I should say.
Mhm.
Um yes, there are things that you see. Um, a lot of the you'll see in the credits if you watch, you'll see in the credits that most of the advisors were political advisors in the White House in the West Wing. Dee Dee Myers was under President Clinton in that. I should go back and rephrase that. Dee Dee Myers helped President Clinton. I should definitely rephrase. Um, he, he- she was she helped him with whatever she did at the White House. She's one of the advisors for the show. So, and that's super cool. There are other people there. There's some special shows. There's like a show that just talks about the West Wing with all the actors kind of they do this like background thing. It's really really if you like anything about politics, you want to learn about politics, it's a great show to be able to learn about politics. And they were Emmy award winning because it was just a fantastic show the way it's put together. There are some things in there that you're going to go, "What? What's that? I don't even know what that is." And that's okay. My wife and I are watching it now, and if we don't know what it is, we look it up. We Google it. It's not really that difficult.
Yeah.
So, filibuster. What's a filibuster? I don't know.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
mean, I
heavy
do now,
political
but
terms.
I
Yeah.
I didn't I didn't before. So there are some political terms that you may not know, and they try to they keep everything kind of light, but it's light and it's not light. There are certain things that um, happen naturally. There are things that you're like, oh wow, they actually have one of those. Um, that it's just if you like politics at all, you're interested in politics, or you just like Bradley Whitford or Rob Lowe or Martin Sheen, watch the show because I love it. It's phenomenal. I'm on my third. I'm watching it with my wife, so this is my third sitting and watching it. It's just it's phenomenal. And she my wife actually came up to me a couple days ago. She's like, I'm learning so much about politics that I didn't even know that. And it's fun though. It's not like this. Oh God, am I watching this again? Some of it's really, really cool and fun and funny. Martin Sheen plays a fantastic president. Actually, Martin Sheen for president now.
Oh yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, I'd love to have Martin Sheen in the White House right now. I mean, put all those guys that I just told you about. I mean, put Allison Janney's the press secretary. I mean, yes, absolutely. Rob Lowe is one of the advisors. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. Bradley Whitford, another advisor. Richard Schiff, another advisor. Um, just like, yeah, put these guys in the White House. I think we'll have more fun with it. I really do. I really
Yeah.
do. So, I mean, I don't know. I think they do a phenomenal job. Again, there's some serious stuff in it,
Hmm.
and there's some very, very lighthearted, a lot of lighthearted things in it. It's good. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Politics aside, and how could you do this? There's sex, there's corruption, there's power. There you
Have it
go. I
all.
mean, those are three words right now that if you don't watch it, then you're not watching any of that. So I'm just saying it's good stuff. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. So Kyle,
Cool.
what's your next one?
So my next one, I'm gonna go in more of in the comedy territory.
Oh, cool.
Oh, actually, sorry, really quick on the West Wing too. While we're
Yeah,
still
yeah,
here,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say because the creator Aaron Sorkin, he did some other projects like he actually did this other series called The Newsroom, which I haven't actually seen all of, but I started watching it. And I really enjoyed it so far. It's just kind of like how the sort of like the West Wing, that style, but like
The concept.
just
Yeah.
just take like that concept, but like put it in like a news station. So it's like you see how kind of like all the different components of like a newsroom, like how all the different people working at a news station kind of, communicate and kind of how they, yeah, it felt very West Wing, kind of like if I feel like kind of that spiritual follow up, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. He did a great job, and I know that as they continue through the seasons, there are other directors, producers, and stuff like that that kind of latch on and kind of keep the show going a little bit. Later on, there's other characters Jimmy Smits. If you like Jimmy Smits
I
comes into
love
the
Jimmy Smith. That guy's
yes,
awesome. He was
yes,
actually in the Star Wars movies, and shows.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Jimmy
Yeah,
Smits comes in. There are
played
some
Bill
other
again.
characters because they kind of what they're doing is they shift a little bit. Um, because the president, who is Martin Sheen, only has a certain amount of term that he can spend there. I think they were trying to continue the show
Yeah.
with possibly Jimmy Smits as president.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, so it's one of those things where and then you go through that whole process of how do you become president from beginning to end,
Wow.
which
Okay.
is really cool. Being on the road, how do you do it? What kind of politics do you have to use to do this? You start in New Hampshire, all this kind of stuff. So it starts out with the West Wing stuff and then moves right over because they were continuing the show and trying to make it and keep it popular. And as they were doing that, they added a whole but Kristen
Oh,
Chenoweth
that's
is
right.
also
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it too. I mean,
Yep.
I think she's been in like everything in the world. She's been in like everything. She's been on Broadway. She's been on TV. She's been in movies, um, specials, variety shows. But yeah, she's also in it later on too. So they bring in a whole bunch of stuff. So it's not just on. Oh my God, it's a political show. I don't want to watch it. Okay, it's a TV show. It's a TV show. It has sex, corruption, and power. How bad can it be? It's like a soap opera.
Yeah.
Really, it really is. But go ahead, Kyle. What's your next?
So I was gonna veer a little more in the comedy territory for this one,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
so
sure.
this is actually a classic HBO show that, well, I guess okay, cult classic. I guess it's. I'm not sure how many people really know this one, but I'm sure you will know some of the actors who are in this show. A lot of like really great comedic actors,
Were there
and
different ones that were in different shows? Each show had a
um,
different like. There was like a main cast, and then there
actually,
was.
well, so the main cast essentially is just two guys, and you'll see like it's a show called Flight of the Concords, and
Oh,
it's about these two just guys from New Zealand, and
oh
they
boy.
it's just about them moving to New York and basically getting somewhere with their band. Like they want to hit it big with the band, and it's just the two kind of like living life in the city, and that's already kind of like a setup for like like a sitcom. But what I love about it is that unlike a lot of other sitcoms, and it actually it's a very musically like it's a very musically a musical up type of show. So there are musical numbers in this show, and they're hysterical. The songs they sing are just unbelievable. Like just like even in the first episode, they sing about the most beautiful girl in the room. Like it's just
it it kind of reminds me of like uh the TV show with the monkeys.
yeah, I think
A
it's got a
little,
little bit of
just
that
like a little bit,
vibe.
because there's
Yeah.
lots of music in it, but they do wacky, crazy things and stuff like that. That's kind of what it reminds me of, kind of the modern day monkeys kind of situation.
A little bit, yeah, yeah, because they are a real band. So they're literally they're like a comedy folk duo, and they do perform live. So it's funny. The show is kind of like, I think it does kind of take on sort of like that monkeys vibe, where yeah, it's just them. You get to see them do all these musical numbers, and and just
It's got a little Glee vibe there too, I guess.
a little bit, yeah.
A little bit
Like
of a
the
Glee
songs
vibe,
can be
yeah.
very crude. Like Glee, I think was definitely more geared towards like teenagers. This is more towards
Yes,
adults, so it's like
yes,
a lot of the humor is just
yes. Oh
like it is
man,
just, oh my god,
wow.
it's
Oh, this is great though. This is awesome.
oh yeah, I'm just laughing thinking about it. Like it's just wow. Just the show is so funny. Like it's just um I think you guys would really enjoy it. Just I say give the show a chance. it's just like the songs are gonna stay stuck in your head. Like it's a show like unlike anything else, really. I had a great time watching it when it first came out back in like 2007, 2008. They didn't go for very long though. There's only 2 seasons, so you go on HBO Max and you're able to watch like both seasons all the way through. And they're only like 10 episodes each. And I think each episode is roughly about like maybe 20 minutes to half an hour. So you can pretty much fly through the series, but it just really it's one of those you can just kind of watch every episode and just jump back in whenever you feel like it, listen to the songs, really get kind of caught up in. I loved it, and I love the two actors, Brett and Jermaine. Jermaine actually kind of went on to do some other stuff, like he did the show Legion, which is that Fox or FX kind of X-Men spin-off series, and he did Men in Black 3. He was the villain in that. Just among many other things. And actually, Taika Waititi, who actually directed a few of those episodes, I think he helped kind of create the show. I'm sure you guys all know now is as like the director of like he did Thor Ragnarok, Thor Love and Thunder, and of course he starred in a bunch of, and of course Jojo Rabbit he directed. Like he's directed a lot of really kind of big movies recently, and um he really helped out Marvel and Star Wars. He was the voice of IG-88 in some of the more recent like Mandalorian series. I think that show really helped jumpstart his career because he kind of went from like he helped direct episodes of that, and then he kind of became more of like an independent filmmaker, and then he just kind of did more like big budget stuff. So it's a great show. You're going to recognize a lot of famous people in it too. Like there's a lot of really fun special guests that I don't want to spoil either. And you're going to be like, hey, that's that person. Like you might even see someone from SNL kind of show up just randomly. So it's good. It's good. I love that series. It's just a lot of fun. Great music. And the two stars are they're hysterical. The humor in it is kind of more like if you remember the movie Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
it's because that was also another cult classic. I should have thrown that in the cult classic kind of arena.
Right. See, we definitely have to do a part two of a lot of these shows that we're doing. So,
Oh, 100%. We got a lot of
oh yeah,
follow-ups planned, yeah. But it's kind of got that sort of like kind of sort of dry humor, but you just that sort of dry meets ridiculous humor, and just the way that the Plane Dynamite kind of did it, that's what this show pretty much does too. But I love it. Like I highly recommend it. So yeah.
that's awesome. That's just fantastic. It looks funny. I mean, it
Yeah.
looks just like it's a little bit crazy, a little bit funny, a little bit, you know, a
Yeah.
little bit like every movie that you've ever seen wrapped up into a musical kind of
Yeah.
music and craziness and that kind of thing. So it's definitely it's definitely one of those things where you can where I would think that it would probably be like definitely a cult classic kind of situation on
Oh
that
yeah.
end too. It may eventually be one. But yeah, so definitely. No, it looks great. It looks definitely a keeper, something that everybody's gonna go out and just check out. And you said it's on HBO Max? You said it was on
Yeah, you
HBO?
can find HBO. I think that's the only channel they stream it on right now. So yeah, okay, yeah, because it is an HBO show, so you have to pretty much watch it on HBO. Or if you're adventurous, go to the DVD store, and I'm sure they'll have seasons of it somewhere. So
Oh yeah, definitely. Amazon will probably have it too.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes the quickest way to get DVDs these days.
pretty much.
But I forgot to tell you, The West Wing is also on HBO Max. It's also on now, HBO Max. That's where we're watching it. So,
Oh, nice,
um,
nice.
yeah,
I was
so
on
it's on.
Netflix, huh? It probably like bounced
Yeah,
around.
it actually no, I'm not sure if it was on Netflix, but it was definitely that's kind of where we're watching it right now on HBO. So, um, very good. So my next one is another. I feel like I'm like the mainstream guy, and Kyle's like picking these ones out of the air. But I, I guess there are some mainstream people out there, so it's I like this because I think there's it's not just like one audience that watches this. Um, this is a show from 2007 to 2019. Um,
Wow,
this
that's a
I
while.
actually, yeah, it was long, 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 long. They extended this one for a very long time. Um, this this is one of those things where I was like, you know what? I'm not really sure if I should watch this because this may be too technical for me, or it's going to be like, how could this be a comedy? So I'm going comedy too for my last one. Um, and it's called The Big Bang Theory. And I was like, my my exactly. I love that saying. That's awesome. This is a woman who moves into an apartment across the hall from two brilliant but socially awkward, very socially awkward physicists. Shows them how little they they know about life outside the laboratory. It's Johnny Galecki who actually, if you ever see, um, I really need to tell you, Johnny Galecki, one of Johnny Galecki's first ever movie thing, a TV show. He was in the movie Christmas Vacation. He was the boy in Christmas Vacation.
Oh, I
He
did
was
not know
Russ.
that.
He was Russ, yes. And he's not small. There's Penny. Um, and Penny is played by Kaylee Cuoco. And then you have, of course, Jim Parsons, who is right there, right behind. There's Johnny Galecki right there. They do come from different worlds. It's it's wild. It also has Simon Helberg, and Kunar Nair, Melissa Rauch, and Mayim Balak comes in later on, um, to fill out the cast. There's a lot of technical stuff in here, but it's really super funny. It's very funny. Um, they all speak different languages. I mean, Penny's this California girl, and she's actually not. She's actually her character's from like the South, from Tennessee. So, and that's he plays Sheldon Cooper. That's Jim Parsons plays Sheldon Cooper, and he needs to see where he's sitting on the couch. That's his spot, and you can't mess with his spot. You can't sit in his spot. It's hilarious. It is very funny, and in some cases, it deals with kind of some serious, not serious, but kind of uh, kind of different worlds, different kinds of things happen here and there, but typically it's very funny. These guys are they're physicists. There's 3 out of 4 of them uh, have PhDs. So the only one that's right there, that's Simon Helberg, and he actually only has a master's in engineering. So, but it's super funny. It does have some technical stuff to it, but it's just it's very funny. Howard, he plays Howard. Howard's always trying to pick up everybody. Um, it's just people from different worlds, and they all become friends, and they celebrate life together. I guess that's really all I could say about it. So it's very it's very, very funny. Um, yeah, it's just it. Oh, um, let's see. Kunal, who plays Raj in the first like few seasons, he can't talk to girls unless he's had some alcohol. And it's very, very funny because he really he can't talk to Betty, who lives across the way. It's just hilarious. It's just phenomenally funny. Again, I've watched it. I'm watching it again. It's also on HBO Max, which, by the way, is becoming Max. Just so you know,
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
HBO
with the whole
Max.
Discovery thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know why they keep changing the name to re. They're doing whatever. Who knows what they're doing? But anyway, it's watching it again. Um, I was watching bits and parts, and then I finally went through the whole thing, and again, I laugh at the same stuff. There's some parts where they're just so funny, I'm laughing so much I'm crying. It's just it's I love the fact that it's everybody from different bits and parts, but they come together and they always stick up for each other. They're always friends, and they don't really care. Um, they don't really care that Sheldon's a lunatic, and he's got to sit in his space, and he does laundry on Wednesdays or Thursdays or whatever it is, and he does that every single week. He's very regimented in that way. They just don't care. They may think he's a little weird, but they just don't care. They're still his friend, and that's kind of what comes out of the whole thing. Um, there's relationships. There's lots of cool, like they make. I don't know if you know better than I do on the robot thing. What's that show that they have these like not killer robots, but these actual people make these robot remote control robots, and they go and they try to they have fire, and they have saws, and if they everybody's going, everybody's trying to all the robots are trying to kill each other's robots, and when the robot dies, you're out. It was a show a while back, and I can't remember the show, but
Rock'em Sock'em
they
Robots?
make this, what's it called?
I don't know, Rock'em Sock'em Robots or
No,
GoBots?
that's a good one. I don't think that's it. But no, this is like a real show, like a real competition where they make
Oh, you
these
mean like okay.
steel robot things. Anyway, it's
Huh.
really cool. They actually make one of those, uh, and then they challenge another physicist. Um, let's put it this way: it's really cool, but it doesn't end well. So it's just really cool, but it doesn't end well. It's that kind of funny. So
Yeah.
if you're into that kind of thing, I would watch it. I would watch it even if you're not into it, because it's very funny. Great cast. When you see Christmas Vacation, check out Johnny Galecki's first role, one of his first roles, if not his first role as Russ, um, which is completely kind of crazy. He actually looks younger than the Vacation one, so I'm not sure. They probably should have put they just regular Vacation, the one with Anthony Michael Hall. He's like older, so I'm trying to figure out why they. I don't know. I thought the regular Vacation came out first, and then the. I don't know. Anyway, I just, it's great. It's really great. I highly suggest watching it. Um, it's just really good.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. I think I've seen a couple episodes. I'm trying to remember, like, yeah, some of these shows, um, especially Big Bang Theory. I've definitely seen at least one or two episodes before, but it's been a while, so I definitely gotta kind of, yeah, check it out again. So
Yeah, it's just it's not anything technical. So, like for West Wing, it's yeah, you're dealing with politics, but you're also dealing with story and all this kind of stuff, backstories and character development and stuff like that. You're
mhm.
doing that in Big Bang Theory too. So, and then there's lots of surprises like later on. You're like, whoa, what? So it's like lots of
Mhm.
surprises, actually in both, but definitely in Big Bang. There's a lot of surprises, like later on as you continue to, the first I think few seasons you're trying to do this character development and stuff like that. Um,
Right. Okay.
let me just give you this. So Raj is the one that can't speak to women.
Hmm.
Okay, he goes up to he's like, I mean, it just very it's sad, but it's super funny the way he does
Yeah.
it.
It's like
And
relatably awkward. It sounds like.
yeah, and he can't speak to women, but once he drinks alcohol, he's like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on?" It's like this complete change. So he sees an
That's funny.
ad up there. So they all work at a university.
Mhm.
uh, doing all these experiments and physicist stuff and engineering stuff. And so Raj sees something up on the bulletin board, and it just happens to be an experimental drug for like shyness.
Hmm.
So he's like, I'm not going to tell you how it kind of comes about, but so unfortunately, what he decides, he takes it off the wall. I'm not going to tell you how that all forms, but there's a funny part beforehand. And so he takes it off the wall and he starts taking it. He comes over to the apartment where Sheldon is, and all of a sudden he starts talking like there's no tomorrow. But the issue is that there are some side effects.
Yeah.
And because there are side effects, like he'll start talking and he'll start putting his arm out like this, and all of a sudden he'll stop talking. And he'll like look at his hand. It's like, yeah, there's a few side effects to this particular thing that I'm taking. And
Yeah.
just it's like his hand just keeps going on there's different actions that he does. That's just one part of how far they take it, and how funny it can be.
Oh, that's
Just
good.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's yeah, that's kind of where it goes.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. So did you have a last one, or did you already do your last one?
No, I think that was it for me. I had a couple other couple other runner-ups,
Yeah,
but
do
I
you have a
figured we can just kind of
honorable
save them
mention?
for some honorable mentions. Yeah, yeah, if you will. But yeah, we can save them probably for a future episode. So it's all good.
Yeah, yeah. No worries at all. No worries at all. So yeah, hey, listen, we had fun doing this episode.
Yeah, that was awesome. I
This
love diving into TV shows. I feel like we haven't talked about shows specifically in a little while, so that was nice.
Yes. Yeah, because we've talked movies and we talked a little bit of video game. Although we have so much to do in that realm. It's
Hmm.
just we got so many good episodes, so many terrific episodes coming up. I'm very excited. We're starting to make a list of things that we can talk about. So it's just gonna be great. So I just wanted to mention that there are some other shows that you can start watching. Um, please, please start watching them, and they're great. One is with Robbie and Kyle. It's called On the Couch, talking sports. And let me tell you, boys talk more non-sports than you talk sports, which is great. It's just a
Yeah.
couple of guys getting together on the couch and talking about stuff. And it's great. It's wonderful. It's awesome. We also have the Sports Blitz with Robbie and I, and we tried to get together last week. It just didn't happen. We were just too things got too crazy, but we are going to have an episode coming up. Um, it's going to be very interesting because I'm going to propose this to Robbie, so we'll see. We'll see what happens on that end, but we're going to have a very interesting episode coming up, so we're very much looking forward to that. So that's two right there, and of course, our our screen time with Doug and Kyle, of course. Thank you very much to our sponsors, Simon Organizing and Wes Woodson. And you can see us we are on, let's see, I put us on YouTube. We are live right now on I'm sorry, we're live on YouTube, right?
Mhm.
We're also live recorded. So if you didn't get the episode, it is recorded. You can see it on our page. Please subscribe and hit the bell so you can actually see the episode. That would be helpful. That would be great. And we're also on, let's see, what else are we on? I think we're going to start putting the episodes on Spotify so you can actually listen to our episodes.
Yeah,
We
you
do
can
have,
hear some of our Marvel at the Movies episodes, but
yep,
we still have yet to kind of transition screen time into it. So we're definitely going to kind of work on that. But you guys can definitely hear some of our older episodes if you guys want
yes,
to get
yes, our old show, which was Marvel at the Movies. Yeah,
those.
Marvel at the Movies. And see, I forgot our title already. I'm so on screen
That's
time. I'm like in screen time mode. Marvel at the Movies, you could hear some of that on Spotify, and we're getting together and seeing how we can put that on. By the way, you could put some pressure on Kyle to do that. That's Kyle's job. So just write him in the comments and make sure you get him on that. he's like, it's not me. I'm moving away. Bye. Look, he's totally out of here. He's like, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm out of here. But yeah, so definitely that. So YouTube. I put us on Facebook. Oh, there we go. Watch and listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, and Facebook. There we go. Scrolling. We're scrolling and we're doing great. So yeah. So I'm Doug. That's Kyle over there, who just left the screen and came back. We had a great time tonight. Who's it?
Who did that? What?
Is there somebody behind me? I don't know who's behind me. So thank you so much for watching. We had a great time. Please subscribe and hit the bell. And we'll see you next time on Screen Time with Doug and Kyle.
Have a good one, guys.
See you later.